to have in our midst this morning a scholar that has seen it all in the realm of research, in the realm of technology application, in the realm of poultry production and livestock development. Professor Samuel Soladoye Abiola is a distinguished academic with a robust background in poultry science and animal production. His career has spanned notable institutions, including the Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, where he has contributed significantly to research and innovation from 2001 to 2021, and the Central University of Technology in Free State, South Africa, between 2008 and 2012. Professor Abiola's research focuses on various aspects of poultry management, health, and nutrition, with a particular interest in indigenous chicken breeds. His recent publication reflects a commitment to advancing knowledge in the field, including studies on the effect of mating methods of embryonic development and the health implications of natural extracts of laying birds. His work has been featured in reputable journals such as Archival de Zootechnica and the Canadian Journal of Animal Science, showcasing his contribution to understanding poultry production systems and their impacts on performance and health. In addition, Professor Abiola, to his academic credit, collaborated with several institutions, including Tanta University and Yonsei University College of Medicine, indicating his active engagement in international research networks. His expertise and dedication to poultry science has continued to influence both academic and practical application in the field. It is on record as the 22nd inaugural lecturer at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, on the inaugural lecture taken on the 3rd of October 2007 on the title, Poultry Farming, a Veritable Tool for Employment Generation and Poverty Alleviation. You will see that our keynote, our speaker today, is fit for the job, and we are going to gain a lot. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, eminent men on the high table, I want to bring to the podium the keynote address presenter for today, Professor Soladoye Abiola. You are welcome, sir.
Executive Governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde, the representative of the Minister, Federal Livestock Department, the representative of the Executive Secretary, Agri Research Council, Professor G.H. Sharubutu, the chairman of this occasion, Dr. Ayola Keynote, eminent people on the table. I have a lot. I've seen quite a lot of them. It will take a lot of time if I need to introduce everybody. The provost of the college, Dr. Adekoya Awoshipo, the lecturers of the college, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the press, all other protocols observed. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the college for giving me the opportunity to be part of this program. Last year I was here for the 60th anniversary, and I thank God again that I have the opportunity to be here. I came early enough for two reasons. I was hoping that I would see some of our old students, some of our classmates in the 60s when the college was established. But I've been looking around, I cannot see any of my classmates here. The youngest of them will be 78 years old now. So maybe that is why we cannot see any of the old students. Another reason for coming early is just to look at the facilities on ground. I have seen a lot. I have seen a lot. In the 60s, where we were here, we were managing with the School of Agriculture. And for over 60 years, you can see that a lot of developments have taken place. So I want to congratulate the management of the school, the provost in particular, the supporting staff for these achievements. And it's my prayer that the Lord will continue to strengthen you. Yeah. So please keep it up. Keep it up. We rely solely on the graduates of this institution. in order to save the livestock industry from total collapse. The theme, bridging past and future, advancing animal production and health through science, technology, and policy in Nigeria. I identified 2 keynotes there, or if you like keywords, the past and the future. The past for animal production and health nationwide, and then the future, that is the strategies for improvement. So I've tried to look at both ways, but because of the exigency of time, I will not want to go too far into the national issue, but I will restrict myself to how it started here, the past of the training program for animal production and health. We are celebrating 64 years of existence. When it started in 1964, the name of the school was totally different. It was Animal Health School. And that was 1964. I'm trying to cover just about 10 years for the past, because we don't have the luxury of time. So 64, it started as Animal Health School, and gradually the name changed in 72, thereabout, to IAR&T Institute of Agricultural Research and Training, under the then University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. But now we have a new name, Federal College of Animal Health and Production Technology. You can see the complete metamorphosis from school to institute and then to college. Of course, when the students were here in the 60s, I happened to be one of the beneficiaries. We were recruited as students and at the same time as civil servants by the Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources in the old Western region. But of course, then we were on salary. But at the same time, we were here as students. But now, the students here are paying tuition. So you can see the difference. So it was a time of enjoyment, a time of fun for us when we were here in the 60s. And what was the salary? It was not Naira, 198 pounds per annum. That was the salary we were collecting that time, 16 pounds 10 per month. It was a lot of money. And then we had our lecturers, mainly veterinarians. But here now, I can understand you have lecturers in different areas, animal science, veterinarians, maybe researchers in other areas. So a lot of difference. And if you look at some of the benefits, we were actually accommodated in the old state. Then we were given loans so as not to be late to the class. Bicycle loan, 22 pounds per student that time in the 60s. And of course, we were accommodated in the hostel. We had some other extracurricular activities on campus because there was the School of Agriculture, inter-house sports, competition here and there. So we're enjoying ourselves. But now there's a training, empowerment of farmers by the current students, by the current management. So we can see a lot of difference. The subjects that were taught in those days were mainly veterinary science subjects. Pathology, parasitology, physiology, bacteriology, and all the rest. 13 subjects for the certificate course, and then 9 subjects for the diploma course in the 60s. But now I think you have a lot of things. Fisheries, computer science, statistics, and many other things. The certificate then was certificate in animal health, diploma in animal health. But now you have MD and HND. See, why I'm saying this is that in our own time, we were not trained to be job creators. We were not trained to be self-employed. And unfortunately, some of my colleagues are not here. We were trained as animal health assistants, just like you have nurses assisting the doctors in this hospital. So we are trained to be supporting the veterinary staff that time. So it was difficult to set up. So that lasted for many years. Even if you come back for HND, the same thing. But now we can see a lot of changes. The graduates can be self-employed. You can see some of them in the poultry business, some of them in cattle business, some in maybe rearing sheep and goats or rabbit. So it's a lot of improvement that we have noticed. And I want to appeal to the provost and the management, please continue. Because this is the time for us to save the livestock sector from total collapse. Because now, a crate of eggs is about 6,000 naira anywhere in the country. We cannot continue this way. Well, you can see the principal of the school then, Dr. Mrs. Crockett, sitting down. Next to him, Dr. Shamsi, and standing a lecturer from the university, one of the universities in the United States, Dr. Ored, and then the principal that took over from Crockett, late Mr. Brehm. All of them are passed to the great beyond. We had them, we enjoyed ourselves quite all right. And then we have the class of 1968 set. And we had the School of Agriculture and then School of Animal Health, sport competitions all over the place. Well, I give you a bicycle loan. That's my bicycle, 1968. The idea of giving us bicycle loan is to be sure that we don't come late for classes, for lectures. And once you finish the animal assistant course, you come back, you finish the HND, you'll be giving a loan to buy motorcycle. That was my Kawasaki motorcycle. But today now I'm here with my car. So that is just by way of telling us what happened on campus here in the 60s for the first 10 years of existence of the school. Introduction. The chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria is blessed. We have what is the human and material resources. But I think the problem we have is that we cannot harness those resources to improve the economy of this country. Like I said earlier, why should we be buying a crate of eggs for 6,000 naira in Nigeria? By December, my wife sold Lola chicken for 25,000 naira. 25,000 naira. So we have to move fast. It's almost getting late so that we will save the livestock industry, particularly the pork industry, from total collapse. Outline. I will talk about problems that are currently militating against animal production and health in Nigeria. Then we identify the reason or justify why we have to advance animal production and health in Nigeria. Then what are the strategies? What are the plans to advance animal production scientifically and technologically? What are the strategies of action on the part of the government if we want to advance animal production and health through government policies? First and foremost, let us identify the problems militating against animal production in Nigeria at the moment. Cattle rustling and banditry. I'm sure we are familiar with this. It's not only cattle rustling that we are having. We have people stealing goats, people stealing chickens, even rabbits, presently in Nigeria. And the banditry is everywhere. It's very prominent in the north, but that is a big problem, and we are hoping that the government will be able to save that situation in order to improve the livestock sector. Crop farming and other conflicts. This is still very prominent. We experience this quite often. You have a livestock farmer, a poultry producer, or a pig farmer with a large scale of land for maize or soybean, and all of a sudden you see cattle roaming about, they eat up everything overnight. That is one of the problems. Of course, when you experience that, you will want to go back. You can't continue. So gradually, the livestock industry will just go down if you continue to have some of these challenges. Then we have limited access to finance. Sometimes some of our farmers will want loans to start their business, either poultry business or cattle business. But the bank managers will prefer to give loan to crop farmers, thinking that the livestock industry is subject to mortality because birds can experience all forms of sicknesses at any point in time. So it's easier to give loan to crop farmers, but difficult for livestock farmers to obtain loan, particularly poultry farmers. Then we have high input cost. It's another serious problem facing the livestock industry. At the moment, feed cost is accounting for about 70% of the cost of production. Maize, a kilogram of maize is now 580 naira per kilo, while soybean is about 750, 740 naira per kilo. So by the time you take all this together, the cost of feeding will be escalated. Beyond the feed ingredients, also we have problems with drugs. Drugs are very expensive. Vaccines are very scarce, particularly the local vaccines. And we are supposed to be producing vaccine in this country, particularly in VOM. But sometimes we find it difficult to get these local vaccines. The imported vaccines are the ones that are sometimes available. Climate change. Well, we are experiencing this almost every time, but it's very prominent in developed countries because of heavy industrialization, particularly in the United States, in China, in India. They experience a lot of climate change, which is a sudden change in the temperature and the environmental patterns. And when we talk of a change in the temperature, what temperature are we talking about? Just ordinary 1.5 degrees Celsius. That is the only rise in temperature that we have, and everybody is experiencing climate change. And what are the consequences? Flood, drought, affecting crop farmers and then affecting livestock farmers. Because once you have this type of situation, it will be difficult for anybody to move forward as far as livestock production is concerned. So climate change is a very serious problem that we are experiencing at the moment. And the solution to it is to look for alternative sources. Because the gases that are responsible, carbon dioxide and methane, these are the emissions that are causing the climate change in our society and in any country of the world. But now that we are having people with solar energy, you have panels all over the place and battery, it will reduce emission. In fact, virtually there may be no emission. So there is a temporary solution to minimize the effect of climate change. Inadequate veterinary and extension services. When in the past we used to have field overseers and extension agents that will be monitoring the activities of the farmers, even at the local government level. But things are becoming difficult now. People run away because of kidnappers. So nobody is ready to take the risk. But we still need extension agents to assist us to save the livestock industry. Supply chain issues. From the onset of COVID-19, we started having a problem, particularly in the importation of some feed ingredients like wheat. It was difficult to import some ingredients, even maize and soybean. It was difficult. Up to now, we are still experiencing the same thing as a result of COVID-19. Inadequate infrastructure, epileptic power supply, shortage of water, bad roads. If you go to some of these local government areas, livestock production is not common in the cities. You see a lot of farmers operating at the village level, but sometimes the road is too bad. Transportation is bad. And we are talking of perishable commodities with 3 primary animal products: eggs, meat, and milk. They are highly perishable. They are not items that can be taken for a long time on bad roads because they are highly perishable. So it's just one of the things that should be taken into consideration if we want to improve livestock production, that is, to provide adequate infrastructure. There are no genetic potential. Some of our animals have the genetic potential. I'm just giving an example of West African dwarf goat. Even beyond that, we have even poultry. They don't have genetic potentials. We have to develop them. I'm still going to discuss that later. So these are just some of the problems militating against animal production and health in Nigeria. Bandits or rampage in the north, we still have them around. As long as we have banditry, it will affect livestock production. We see animals roaming about, cattle, sheep, and goats. This is open grazing. By the time you have this, it will affect our livestock farmers, and it will be difficult to continue, because as long as we have this, and there's no rule or regulation that will ban open grazing, we will continue to experience problems. Look at the roads, even in cities. Bad roads everywhere. We are not saying in the villages alone, but even in capital cities, you see bad roads. So it will be difficult for the movement of animals and animal products from the village to the city, because the market is in the city. So these are some of the challenges that we have. This is one of the problems. People are trying to save costs by using private vehicles to transport animals. By the time you take this animal to the market, the animal is slaughtered, then you have problem in terms of quality of the meat. Because meat from this type of animal will not have good keeping quality. Because you have subjected the animal to a lot of stress, fracture, internal bleeding, and so many problems. So transportation of animal this way is becoming popular in order to save cost. I talked about infrastructures, bad roads, and some other challenges facing the animal production and health in the country. Well, this is West African dwarf goat. I'm sure we are familiar with this type of breed of goat. Very common, particularly in the south here. You can see them in the villages, but they have low genetic potential. We have a lot of them in the north as well. But what we need to do is improve their genetic potential so that we can take animal production to the next level. What is the justification for advancing animal production and health? That is, what are the reasons? Why do we need to advance animal production, particularly at this stage of development of our country? There are 3 reasons why we must advance animal production and health. One is because at the moment we are experiencing population explosion. If you ask any Nigerian now, what is the population of Nigeria? You say 200 million. No, we are more than 200 million. We are more than 200 million. United Nations projected 2017 that the year 2050, that is 25 years from now, the population of Nigeria will reach 398 million. So if the population will increase, then there must be corresponding increase in the supply of animal products as well, because the demand will be on the high side. We need more meat, we need more milk, we need more eggs in the society. The other thing is urbanization. The rate at which people are moving away from villages, from local government to the capital cities is alarming. Go to some villages, go to some local government areas, you see most of the buildings empty. The elderly ones are still left behind, the younger ones are coming up, but they prefer to stay in capital cities, go to Lagos, stay in Ibadan, they go to Abuja, where they can get quick financial returns. So urbanization is another thing, because people that are coming to the cities, they also want livestock products. They want to take eggs, they want to take meat, they want to take all protein sources. So we must focus attention on how we can advance animal production. Then there is a projection here that there is going to be increase in the consumption of meat from now onwards up to the year 2050. If you look at the table there, 2012, the consumption of beef was very low. Mutton, which is sheep meat, and then shepherd goat meat, we have poultry meat and pork. So 2012 compared with 2030. So there's going to be increase in demand in the consumption of meat. And if you look at the column for 2050 as well, same thing will happen. The only difference is that, look at the poultry section. There's going to be stagnation from 2030 if we continue at this rate. The consumption of poultry and poultry meat, and even the eggs, will be reduced. Like I said earlier on, as we speak today, a crate of eggs, the minimum is 5,500 naira. In some places, 5,000. I know it will be more than that in Lagos or Abuja. So these are some of the challenges. So projection for 2050 is alarming, but we have to make effort to see that we increase animal production and animal health so as to save the industry from collapse. Strategies for advancing animal production and health through science and technology. I decided to lump the two together because they are interrelated. The first one is research and development. Research must continue. There's no end to it if we want to develop animal production and promote health in our society. But to do that, we need to consider the financial implications. The government must come to the aid of institutions. The government must come to the aid of the farmers, the private farmers, because everybody will benefit from it one way or the other. The animal products are meant for human consumption. It will provide employment opportunities where we have farmers in poultry business, in cattle business, or pig business. So it is very necessary that we have research going on, and government should try and support. Genetic improvement, that is selecting and upgrading genetic pool. Most of our animals, they have low genetic potential. And we have to improve on it, like developed countries, so that we can get better results. There are some of these animals that don't have desirable states. And once they don't have desirable states, the traits that they have, whatever it is, we must be able to develop them. For example, we have some of our breeds that are very resistant to some tropical diseases. We can crossbreed and develop some animals that can give us better results. Nutritional strategies. These days, a lot of research work is going on in the use of different types of feed additives to promote growth, to promote animal production and health. Example is prebiotics, biotics. These are used as feed additives to reduce cost of production and to reduce reliance on the use of antibiotics. So many developing countries are doing this. So we can use a lot of supplements in the feed to promote growth in animals. Then infrastructure. I said something about bad roads. The government should also come to our aid, especially at the local government. Now that they are talking about local government autonomy, it is hoped that the local government staff will be able to do something about the bad roads. If we move around to places like on our local government, almost everywhere, It's 3 local government areas of your state. People are complaining bitterly. And so it's not only affecting the residents of the local government, but at the same time it's affecting the livestock farmers. Reproductive technologies. Artificial insemination is very popular, it's very prominent. It's been on for many years. Some research institutes are involved in artificial insemination. It's been practiced in the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, even in poultry. So it's gaining popularity. It is very easy to do it. We don't need to rely on imported live animals. Once you can import the semen, you inseminate, and you get better results. Apart from the artificial insemination, embryo transfer is also very important. The transfer of embryo, not only human beings, even in animals, is being practiced. I've witnessed it in several places in the US and in South Africa. So can do it in pigs, in cattle, in all classes of animals. Disease management. Biosecurity is very necessary, particularly in the poultry industry. Now that the cost of vaccines, drugs are on the high side, poultry farmers will need to look inward and make sure that they improve the management system in the environment. Biosecurity will help a lot and will reduce the cost of production. Because if the standard of hygiene is high, you will not spend money too much to the extent that you run the business bankrupt. So disease management is important. So these are some of the important scientific and technological methods that can be used to advance animal production and health. When you have this group of animals, sheep, particularly in the north, the Lancaster breed, they have very low genetic potentials, but that can be improved by crossbreeding. They are very common in the north. We don't have much of them down in the south here. So we have the breeds, but we just need to improve their genetic potentials. We have these red Sokoto goats. I'm sure some of us are familiar with this. We have them quite often, especially during the Ramadan, for festivities. They are hardy to some extent, but the reproductive performance is not enough. So we can upgrade the genetic potential so that I can have better breed for the farmers. This is a particular breed that I saw when I was in South Africa. I was able to supervise some students when I went on sabbatical leave. So the student worked on this type of goat. They call it Kalahari Red Goat from South Africa. It's already here in Nigeria. Federal University of Agriculture about 12 years ago imported 10 breeds of this Kalahari Red Goat from South Africa. So we still have them on campus at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. But if we can develop them and collect the semen, we can use to inseminate and improve the quality of our indigenous breeds. This is another breed of goats from South Africa. They are meat breeds. You can see the posture, you can see the conformation. We have a lot of them in South Africa and other countries. I talked about genetic improvement, that we can upgrade our indigenous breeds so that they can perform better and we have better financial returns to the farmers. If you look at this comparatively, we have indigenous breed of birds, local birds on the left, and look at the foreign breeds on the right. The chairman, Dr. Odota, talked about the Nola breed a few minutes ago. The breeds were developed, that is the Nola chickens, they were developed in this country. And I want to commend him, Dr. Odota, for taking the initiative. Please let's give him a round of applause. He has done a lot of research work in this in collaboration with some of our colleagues, but our colleagues that have been involved in the research work have retired, people like Professor Shonaya from OAU, Professor Mrs. Adebambo from Federal University of Agriculture. But we must continue from where they stopped. So if we can have Nola boards, like I said, December last year, my wife sold the cockerel for 25,000 naira of Nola. And I've raised some chickens as well, with the result that I was even getting 100% eggs, 100%, different sizes. So how are these developed? The local chickens, you can see them there. I'm sure we're all familiar with them. The other breed, White Plymouth Rock, is American breed from USA. So they carried out crossbreeding program to produce the other chickens. And that is what we can rely on now at the moment. It's an innovation, and we must continue to encourage that. Our local chickens, they have their characteristics. They are very hardy. There's no doubt about it. But they are not meat chickens. Some of them have naked legs. But by the time you cross with some of these foreign breeds, you will see the genetic improvement. I was privileged to see some of this when I was in US for my undergraduate studies at Kansas State University, because we were taken to some farms. I saw different poultry breeds in South Africa, in America. Big breeds. Some of them egg-type chickens, some of them meat-type chickens. And what they do in the US is they do a lot of cross-breeding program. So we have to carry out the same thing, just similar to what has happened for the production of another chickens. So once we can have this, we can continue, but the government will need to support financially. A farmer may not be able to do this because of the financial implication. So the government will need to come to the aid of the farmers. And even people that are directly involved, like the business of the chairman, in a way, I've been there on 2 occasions. And if there's a need to assist, particularly in the area of this electricity supply, because you cannot run generators, you cannot run archeries on generators 24 hours. You cannot run archeries on generators. Vaccines are supposed to be kept refrigerated 24 hours in the fridge. The vaccines will not be useful after some time. So people that are directly involved, they must be encouraged, they must be supported, so that we can save the livestock industry from total collapse. There must be no epileptic power supply any longer in this country. We have reached that stage. Now, strategies and plan of actions for advancing animal production and health in Nigeria through government policies. Government can have different types of policies. There's what is called legislative policy from the side of the government. They can come with rules and regulations. A typical example, government can come up with the idea that we should stop eating palm in Nigeria. That is a regulation. It's a regulatory policy that Nigeria should stop eating palm as from next month. It's binding on everybody in the country. That is a regulatory policy. Why? Because the government will need to save a lot of money. Nigeria is one of the leading countries exporting leather into countries like India, Italy. And as a matter of fact, when we talk of palm, it's not meant for human consumption. Palm is not meat. But in Nigeria, we believe that we should be eating it. I've never seen, this is the only country where I see people eating palm. But with the new minimum wage now, I think everybody will stop eating it. Because if you are eating it all along like that, you will allow the tanning industry to collapse. Government is making trillions of dollars on exportation of leather, particularly from Zaria, from Kano. So eating of palm should be stopped. So what are the regulations or the resolutions from the government to support the industry? the government has come up with different reforms to support the livestock industry. Just last year, the president of the country set up a committee. So there you have establishment of Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee. They came up with 4 proposals and 4 recommendations. So here I've listed some of the recommendations. And what they are saying in essence is that we should improve our indigenous breeds through crossbreeding programs. And they have some proposals as well, which support the provision of infrastructure in the country. So that committee was set up last year, 2024, with Professor Atairu Jega as the co-chairman supporting the president of the country. They have submitted their report, and these are the recommendations. So again, on the part of the government, this is another policy, establishment of Federal Ministry of Livestock Development. The other one is establishment of National Livestock Transformation Plan. All these are geared towards improving livestock production in the country, encouraging the farmers, particularly the conflict that we are having regularly with the crop farmers and the herders. This will come to an end if they are properly monitored. Then you have the anti-open grazing law. I'm sure there are some states that have this law in place. In your state here, just last month, the command of the police made the announcement that it will be enforced as from now onwards, that there should be no open grazing, because it's one of the problems affecting the animal production and health in this country. When you see animals roaming about freely, indiscriminate grazing, they ruin the farms, they ruin the farmers, and then the livestock industry will suffer. Conclusion. Adopting modern technology, strengthening market linkage, genetic improvement will improve livestock production and animal health, and at the same time it will guarantee food security in the country. And like I said, genetic improvement, a typical example is the production of genola chickens. So we should continue to do it for the broilers, for the birds, and also for other categories of livestock, because the experience of the genola chickens is very impressive. The government has estimated that 360 tons of beef each year will be consumed regularly, and with increase in population, there will be corresponding increase in demand for animal products. The recommendations are listed there. I said it earlier on that we have to upgrade our indigenous chickens in order to enhance productivity. Then the government policies should be properly implemented as enumerated earlier on. Anti-open grazing law should be enforced nationwide. There should be collaboration between livestock research institutes and livestock farmers. Government at all levels should provide adequate infrastructure to encourage animal production in Nigeria. The federal government must support Federal College of Animal Health and Production Technology in the establishment of modern livestock farm for the production and processing of animal products. The college must have a farm big enough to accommodate all categories of livestock. There should be no justification for anybody here. The last recommendation is appealing to government to assist the college here. We are producing the graduates, fine, but at the same time, let us have the practical aspect of it on ground. I remember when we were here in the 60s, we used to talk of a farm, southern farm. I don't know whether it still exists. It's still there. It must be upgraded. The college, with due respect to the provost, at this stage must be able to produce enough eggs, meat, and milk to satisfy the community around here, to satisfy the whole of one plantation everywhere. When I was in Kansas State University, we were not buying any livestock products from outside. The university was providing everything. So I think this college has reached that stage. Apart from producing the students, let us see the practical aspect. Thank you very much.